Ladies, I need you to hear me loud and clear tonight, because what I'm about to tell you might shake your spirit, but it just might save your heart. Men don't fall in love the way y'all do. No fairy tales, no butterflies. They fall for just two reasons, and if you don't know what they are, you're out here playing a game with no rule book. I-N-R-O-U-C, Tyann, speak this like you're on a big stage. C, I done been a man my whole life. I've talked to thousands of them. Brothers at the barbershop, backstage, ball players, businessmen, doesn't matter the background. The game doesn't change. Women keep asking, why did he leave? Why did he stop loving me? Why did he choose her after all I gave? You gave your time, your heart, your loyalty. But let me tell you something that'll hurt before it helps. Love for a man ain't about what you give him. It's about what he feels when he's around you. And that feeling comes from just two things. Just two things. So tonight, I want you to stop blaming yourself. I want you to understand the truth. Because once you learn the two reasons men really fall in love, you won't have to chase, beg, or be broken again. You'll know your power, goo, and men fall in love with how you make them feel, not what you do for them. A reason 11 peace. A man falls for a woman who brings him peace in a chaotic world. The reason A2, purpose. He falls for the woman who makes him feel like he matters, like he's becoming more of who he's meant to be. It ain't about looks. That catches his eye. But peace and purpose, that catches his soul. Men don't express love in words. They express it in patterns. Pay attention to how he shows up. A man will leave a good woman if he doesn't feel good about himself around her. If you nag, compete, or correct constantly, he'll run to where he feels respected. And you can't love a man into loving you. He has to choose you with clarity, not confusion. Real men don't fall in love with your potential. They fall in love with your peace. You are the prize, but only if you stop trying to prove your worth and start knowing it. Ladies, I want you to lean in for a second and really listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because what I'm about to say might challenge some of the things you've been told, might stir up some emotions deep down inside you. But more than anything, it's meant to free you from the pain of misunderstanding, free you from the endless cycles of giving and not receiving, and free you from believing that love is just this confusing, unpredictable thing that keeps slipping through your fingers. See, I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing. I'm not here to pat you on the back and let you keep doing the same thing that keeps breaking your heart. I'm here to tell you a truth, a hard truth, that could be the turning point for you. Men don't fall in love the way you think they do. It's not about how good you cook. It's not how loyal you are. It's not even about how beautiful you look, how much you sacrifice, or how hard you try to hold him down when he's low. That's what you've been taught, right? That if you just love him hard enough, stay by his side through everything, eventually he'll wake up and realize how lucky he is to have you. But let me break something down for you. That's not how men fall in love. They don't fall in love out of obligation. They don't fall in love because of your effort. Men fall in love because of how they feel when they're around you. And that feeling, that spark, that deep emotional connection that roots itself in his mind and spirit, it comes from just two places, two simple but powerful reasons. Now, before I even tell you what they are, I need you to understand why this is so important. Because if you don't know how love works in a man's mind, you'll keep spinning your wheels. You'll keep showing up for men who take you for granted. You'll keep blaming yourself when they walk away. You'll keep wondering, what's wrong with me? What did I do? Why am I never enough? But sweetheart, it's not that you're not enough. It's that you're giving everything to men who aren't even emotionally positioned to receive it. You're trying to feed a soul that's never been hungry for the right things. And then you wonder why he won't commit, why he pulls away, why he ghosts you, why he stops trying, why he seems more present for somebody else than he was for you. You gave him everything, but he didn't fall. Why? Because men only fall for two reasons. And if those two reasons aren't present, he may like you, He may enjoy you. He may even stay with you out of convenience, but he will never, ever love you the way you deserve to be loved. And here's the kicker. You can't force those reasons to existence. Either he feels them when he's with you or he doesn't. Either his soul feels fed and at ease around you, or it feels like it's in a boxing match. See, it's never about how much effort you give. It's about what he feels about himself when he's in your presence. That's the whole game. So before we go any deeper, I need you to let go of that old mindset that says love is earned through pain and patience. That's a lie. True love is recognized, not forced. It's not built on suffering. It's built on peace. When a man falls, he doesn't fall for what you provide him. He falls for how he sees himself next to you. He falls for how his spirit rests when you walk in the room. He falls because somehow, some way, being with you makes him want to be more of who he was born to be. Not less, not confused, not defensive, more stronger, calmer, clearer, purposeful. And if he doesn't feel that, then he won't stay, no matter how much you give. So let's get ready to break this all the way down, because once you understand the truth about those two reasons, you'll stop begging for love and start being the kind of woman love can't walk away from. Peace. That's the first reason. That's the first thing a man falls in love with when it comes to a woman. And I'm not talking about silence. I'm not talking about a woman who just sits there and never speaks up. I'm talking about a deep spiritual calm, a peace that settles a man's mind, that quiets the noise of the world when he walks through the door. Because let me tell you something, the world is loud for a man. It's full of expectations, competition, pressure, and masks he's got to wear just to survive the day. He's got to be strong out there. He's got to perform, provide, protect, make money, make moves, make sense of his own struggles, and still carry the weight of being seen as the rock, the leader, the one who never breaks. And even when he's falling apart inside, nobody asks him if he's okay. He's supposed to just figure it out. So when he comes home or when he's with you, he's not looking for more noise. He's not looking for more battles, more judgment, more interrogation, more pressure. He's not looking to be corrected every 5 minutes or reminded of where he falls short. That's what the world already does to him. He's looking for a reset. He's looking for peace. He's looking for a woman who makes him feel like he can take the armor off, who doesn't need to fix him or fix everything around him, but who knows how to just sit with him in his silence and make that silence feel like rest. A woman who speaks life into him, who sees the man in him when he's too tired to show it, who gives him space to breathe. Because when a man feels peace in your presence, he begins to connect your presence with safety, with home. And once a man feels like you're his peace, he will crave you, not out of lust, not out of loneliness, out of soul deep need, because he's not just with you, he's recharging with you, he's healing with you, he's becoming with you. But that kind of peace don't come from being quiet. It comes from being intentional. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to encourage and when to give space. It comes from emotional maturity, from a woman who has already found peace in herself, so she doesn't need to fight for control in the relationship. She's not competing with his masculinity. She's not trying to be the boss of him or the fixer of him. She's just being who she is, soft in spirit, but strong in presence. A woman who knows her worth doesn't have to prove it every second. That's the kind of peace a man falls in love with. And listen, if you don't have peace within yourself, you won't be able to give it to him. You'll bring chaos into his life without even meaning to. You'll turn little things into big arguments. You'll need constant reassurance. You'll question his every move. You'll try to lead the relationship from a place of fear, not from trust. And let me tell you, no man can fall in love with a war zone. No matter how beautiful the view is, if the energy is always unstable, he won't stay. He may enjoy the thrill for a while. He may even convince himself that it's worth the effort. But over time, he'll start craving peace. And if he can't find it in you, he'll go looking elsewhere. Not always in the arms of another woman, but in distance, in silence, in withdrawal, in work, in hobbies, in anything that gives his soul a break. So if you want a man to truly fall for you, don't just try to be his everything, be his peace. Be the space where he feels seen but not judged, supported but not controlled, loved without pressure. Because when a man finds peace in you, he starts to protect that peace. He starts to protect you. He stops looking for better because he realizes what he has is rare. And believe me, in a world full of chaos, peace is priceless to a man. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, being calm, being a woman who carries herself with enough grace to allow him to be himself without fear. That kind of peace, that kind of presence, that's what turns a good woman into a forever woman. That's the reason his soul chooses you, even when his options are loud, because when everything else fades, and the crowd dies down and life gets real, peace is what he'll reach for. And if you're the one who gives it, he'll never forget you. Peace is the first reason. Peace is the root. Peace is the place where love begins. Purpose, that's the second reason a man falls in love, and it runs deeper than most people ever talk about. You see, every man, no matter how tough, successful, broken, or quiet, carries a deep, sometimes hidden desire to live with purpose, to be meaningful, to matter. And even if he can't put it into words, it drives almost everything he does. It's in how he works, how he protects, how he dreams, and it's in how he chooses who to build with. Because when a man connects with a woman who makes him feel like he's stepping into his purpose, he doesn't just like her, he locks in, he roots himself. He commits from a place that's far deeper than attraction or comfort. He starts seeing her as part of his life's mission, not just a moment. When a man finds a woman who makes him feel like he's becoming more of who he's supposed to be, that's when he falls. That's when the walls drop, because it's rare. And I'm not talking about a woman who pushes him to be someone he's not, or who constantly reminds him of what he hasn't achieved. No, that's pressure, not purpose. What I mean is a woman who sees the greatness in him, even when he doubts it. A woman who reminds him, not by nagging, but by believing that he has something to offer the world. She speaks to the king in him. She speaks to the man he's trying to grow into, not just the one standing in front of her today. And because of her belief, her energy, her presence, he starts believing too. He starts moving different, standing taller, thinking bigger, loving harder. That woman becomes his mirror, the kind that reflects his best self, not the broken version the world sees when he messes up, not the incomplete version he battles with when he's alone, but the full, whole, destined version of himself. And let me tell you something, a man will go to war for that woman. He will protect her, cherish her, and build a life around her, because he sees her not as someone he has to fix or someone he's dragging along. He sees her as his why, his reason, his balance, his reminder that life isn't just about surviving, but about becoming. Now let's get real. This kind of woman doesn't become his purpose because she's perfect. She becomes that woman because she inspires something in him. She doesn't try to compete with his vision. She complements it. She doesn't belittle his efforts. She celebrates them. And she does it all while walking in her own purpose too, because a woman who knows who she is, who's walking in her own divine calling, automatically elevates the man beside her, not because she's trying to change him, but because her light makes him want to shine too. Her discipline makes him want to focus. Her integrity makes him want to step up. Her strength gives him permission to be vulnerable. Her love becomes a safe space for growth, not just a comfort zone. And here's what most people miss. When a man finds purpose in a woman, it doesn't mean she becomes his whole life. It means she becomes part of the reason his life finally starts making sense. He stops feeling like he's wandering. He stops settling for shallow. He starts thinking legacy. He starts thinking impact, because purpose brings direction. It brings depth. And when he feels that connection to you, he sees the future, not just the moment. He stops playing games because he knows this isn't something he can afford to lose. You're not just beautiful. You're me, not just loyal. Your alignment and alignment, that's powerful. That's rare. That's unforgettable. But this can only happen if you know your own purpose, if you're not waiting on a man to give your life meaning. If you're not trying to attach yourself to his dreams because you don't have your own, because here's the truth, no man can feel purposeful with a woman who doesn't know her own worth. If he has to constantly build you up just so you can believe in yourself, he'll get exhausted. You can't pour into him if your own cup is empty. So walk in your own light. Let your values, your passion, your faith, your vision for life speak for itself. Don't dim yourself to make him comfortable. Shine and watch how your presence starts to pull the best out of him, not by pressure, but by example. Purpose is not about pushing. It's about pulling something out of a man that was always there, but maybe he forgot, maybe life beat it out of him, maybe he stopped believing. But then he met you and you didn't come with demands. You came with clarity. You didn't try to control him. You inspired him. And now, just by being with you, he remembers who he is. That's the kind of love a man never forgets. That's the kind of love that roots itself so deep, no storm can shake it. Purpose is not just what you do, it's what you ignite in him. And when you ignite that in a man, he's not just in love, he's transformed. It ain't about looks that catches his eye, but peace and purpose that catches his soul. See what draws a man and might be your beauty. It might be the way you walk, the curve of your smile, the confidence in your voice, or the style you carry with such grace. That part, yes, it'll grab his attention. It'll spark interest, maybe even attraction. But attention is not the same as connection. Attraction is not the same as devotion. What keeps a man, what makes him fall in love on a soul deep level has nothing to do with the surface, because the surface fades, beauty evolves, bodies change, and time touches us all. But the feeling you give him when you walk into the room, that doesn't fade, that becomes a part of him. Every man can see beauty, but not every man can feel peace. Not every man walks through life being reminded of his purpose. And when he meets a woman who can give him both, he starts seeing her differently. She's no longer just someone he wants. She's someone he needs in the most honest way. Not in a needy, incomplete kind of way, but in a purposeful, grounding kind of way. Her presence becomes a place where he feels like more of himself, not less. He can breathe around her. He can rest in her. He can imagine a future without fear, without masks, without constant proving. That's why men will chase beauty but stay for peace. That's why they'll flirt with charm but commit to purpose. Because when everything else gets quiet, when the world stops clapping, when the spotlight turns off, when the applause is gone, what's left? What's left is how he feels in your presence. If your energy feels like a war zone, he'll run no matter how fine you are. If your energy feels like peace, he'll stay even when the storms come. If your spirit reminds him of why he's alive, why he should keep going, why he should rise and lead and build something meaningful, then you're not just a woman, you're a reason. And here's something else, Sag. A lot of women are leading with what they think men want. They show the body. They play the game. They say the right things. They mold themselves into what they think will make him stay. But what they don't realize is that temporary interest isn't love. It's distraction. It's surface level attention. And if that's all you ever tap into, you'll always be replaceable, because there will always be someone prettier, someone with more curves, someone with more glamour. But your soul, your presence, your energy, that can't be copied. That's what makes you unforgettable. That's what creates legacy love, not just seasonal romance. So if you're wondering why he chose someone else, if you're comparing yourself to her and thinking, I'm prettier, you're looking at the wrong thing. It was never about prettier, it was about presence. It was about peace, it was about purpose. You could be the most stunning woman in the room and still lose his heart to the one who speaks to his soul. That's the truth most won't tell you. That's the truth the world doesn't glorify. Because peace and purpose aren't loud. They're not flashy. They're not trending. But they are powerful. And they are what make a man build his life around a woman, not just spend a weekend with her. So instead of chasing validation based on how you look, start cultivating what you carry. Start being intentional with your energy. Start showing up as a woman who knows that her spirit is the most attractive thing about her. The peace you offer, the purpose you align with, that's the real glow. That's what turns heads and keeps hearts. That's what makes a man stop searching. Because he didn't just find someone beautiful, he found someone who made him better, someone who reminded him of who he is, someone who made him feel home. Looks catch the eye, but peace and purpose, they capture the heart. And when the heart is captured, the man doesn't wander. He stays, he chooses, he builds every single time. Men don't express love in words. They express it in patterns. And this right here is where so many women get heartbroken, confused, and caught in emotional loops that keep them second-guessing everything. You're waiting for him to say the magic words. You're waiting for the long paragraph, the open vulnerability, the big emotional moment where he looks into your eyes and lays his soul bare. And while some men may get there eventually, most won't lead with that. Most men are not wired to express love through poetic language or emotional outbursts. They don't always have the words. They weren't taught how. They weren't given the space to explore emotional fluency growing up. What they were taught, directly or indirectly, is that showing is safer than saying. So if you're only listening to what he says, you might miss the truth of what he's trying to tell you with his actions. Love to a man shows up in consistency, in how he shows up again and again, especially when it's inconvenient, in how he prioritizes you, not just when easy, but when life is pulling him in 10 different directions. You'll see it in the way he makes room for you in his life without you having to beg for it. You'll see it in the way he protects your peace, not just his own. You'll see it in how he listens to you, really listens, not just waiting for his turn to speak, but absorbing the weight of your words and responding with care. A man's love lies in the details. You'll find it in how he remembers the small things that matter to you, not because you reminded him 100 times, but because he was paying attention the first time. You'll see it in how he touches you, how he looks at you when you're not even looking at him, in how he includes you in his world, brings you around people who matter to him, and wants to be known not just in private, but in public too. His patterns will reveal what his mouth may not say. But here's where it gets tricky. Some women get caught up in what a man used to do. They remember when he chased, when he texted all day, when he brought flowers, when he made effort, and they cling to those old moments thinking that's love. But if the pattern has changed, if the behavior has become inconsistent, if his presence feels more like absence and you're constantly justifying why he's pulling away, that's a new pattern. And that new pattern is telling you something, even if his words haven't. Men may not always talk about what they feel, but they will always act on it, even when they're not conscious of it. If he loves you, he will find ways to be present. If he doesn't, he'll find excuses. The truth is, love from a man is often quiet. It's in the sacrifices he doesn't announce, the plans he makes without even asking, the way he adapts his routine, his habits, even his priorities to make space for you. And you've got to learn to watch that, to observe what he's consistent in, to pay attention to whether you feel secure or constantly anxious. A man in love doesn't create confusion. He creates clarity. Even if he's not the best at words, he'll show up in a way that lets you know where you stand. Don't get caught up in sweet talk that's not backed by action. There are men who can speak poetry and still leave you broken. There are men who will say they love you but treat you like an option. There are men who are skilled at making promises, but absent when it comes time to fulfill them. That's why you've got to stop measuring love by language alone and start measuring it by patterns. What does he do when he's tired, when he's stressed, when you need him most? What does he do when no one's watching? What does he do when loving you costs him time, energy, or pride? If you can't find love in his patterns, you won't find it in his words either. And if his patterns are filled with inconsistency, silence, or absence, you owe it to yourself to stop waiting for his words to catch up. Because sometimes silence is an answer, and sometimes inconsistency is a form of honesty. When a man loves you, you won't have to constantly question it. You won't have to chase the validation. You won't have to shrink yourself or overperform. His patterns will speak loudly. They'll tell you everything you need to know. If you're brave enough to look past the charm, past the chemistry, and into the truth of his behavior. Men don't always speak love fluently, but they live it. In how protect, in how they stay, in how they prioritize, in how they choose you again without being asked. So pay close attention to the pattern. That's where the truth always lies. A man will leave a good woman if he doesn't feel good about himself around her. And that's something a lot of people don't want to talk about, because on the surface, it doesn't make sense. You gave him love. You were loyal. You stood by him. You poured into him. You supported his dreams, encouraged his growth, did everything you thought a good woman was supposed to do, and yet he still walked away. And now you're left broken, confused, second-guessing yourself, wondering what more you could have done, what piece of yourself you could give him that would finally made him stay. But the answer isn't in what you did or didn't do. It's in how he felt about himself when he was with you. Men don't fall in love with how amazing you are. They fall in love with how amazing they feel in your presence. And if a man constantly feels like he's being judged, corrected, challenged, belittled, or compared, even by a woman who genuinely means well, he will emotionally withdraw. Even if you're not doing it intentionally, even if you're trying to help him grow, even if your heart is pure, he will eventually start to associate that relationship with pressure, not peace. And once that happens, he will either disconnect quietly or leave entirely, not because you weren't good, but because he didn't feel good enough around you. See, a man can't thrive in a space where he constantly feels like he's being measured or managed. He won't open up where he feels small. He won't invest in a relationship where he feels he's never enough. He may try it first, especially if he sees your value, but over time, if every conversation feels like a correction, if every moment feels like he's under surveillance, like he's being told how to lead, how to act, how to be, he'll begin to emotionally retreat. Because while women often connect through verbal expression and emotional processing, men often connect through feeling safe, respected, and accepted as they are, not just for who they might become. It's not about lowering your standards or tolerating toxic behavior. It's about understanding how men experience love and emotional safety. If he constantly feels like he has to defend himself, if every decision is challenged, if he feels like you're always trying to fix him, he will start to feel like a failure in your presence. And no man wants to build a future with a woman who reminds him, even unintentionally, of all the ways he's not measuring up. That doesn't mean you don't have a voice. It doesn't mean you can't express your needs or your boundaries. But how you say it, when you say it, and what tone you use, it all matters. Because the way a man feels around you is what determines whether he builds with you or walks away from you. Sometimes the issue isn't about being too good for him. It's about being emotionally unaware of how your energy is making him feel. You may be strong, smart, and successful, but if your energy constantly makes him feel lesser, or like he's always failing to meet your invisible checklist, then he won't associate you with peace. And a man who doesn't find peace in you will never rest in you. He'll stay restless, looking for something, anything that makes him feel powerful again. That's why you see so many men walk away from women who had everything going for them, only to end up with someone who, on paper, seems less qualified. But what he found in that other woman wasn't a better resume, it was a better feeling. He felt seen, he felt affirmed, he felt accepted, flaws and all. And let me be clear, it's not your job to fix a man's insecurity. A man who doesn't feel worthy within himself will struggle no matter who he's with. But if you're a woman who loves deeply and wants to build something real, you have to understand that love can't thrive in an emotional environment where one person constantly feels inadequate. You can be a woman of high standards and deep grace. You can challenge him without crushing him. You can help him grow without making him feel broken. You can hold him accountable without stripping away his dignity. What men crave more than anything is to feel powerful in love, not in an ego-driven, controlling way, but in a soulful way. They want to feel like they're providers of strength, protectors of something valuable. If they feel like they're always the project, the one being worked on, they'll never feel like the man in the relationship. They'll feel like the burden. And when a man feels like a burden long enough, He'll disappear. He may not even be able to explain why. He might even understand it himself. He'll just say, something feels off, or I need space, or I'm not good enough for you. And you'll sit there wondering how being too good could somehow be the reason he left. But it's not about being too good. It's about being too unaware of how your goodness lands on him. If your strength overshadows his voice, if your wisdom turns into constant correction, if your love feels more like a project than a partnership, he'll begin to disconnect, because men don't stay where they don't feel emotionally safe. They don't stay where they feel judged more than respected. They don't stay where they can't breathe. So the next time you ask yourself why he left, don't just think about what you gave. Think about how he felt when he was with you. Because a man will stay with a woman who makes him feel like more of a man, and he'll leave, even a good one, if he constantly feels like less. Not because you weren't valuable, but because he couldn't see his own value while standing next to you. And until he can feel proud of himself in your presence, he won't be able to fully love you. Because we don't love people well when we feel small. We love best when we feel strong, accepted, and seen. And that's what every man is secretly searching for, whether he says it out loud or not.